out of your mouth. And then educating your body is also about appreciating yourself and how you look. You shouldn't let anyone tell you how you should look or what you should look like. You as a person should be responsible for appreciating yourself first. And then any other thing someone else tells you is secondary or is an addition to that. You have to take pride in your appearance and the way you appear to the world. Because the truth of the matter is, the way you present yourself to the world, the way you appear to the world is the way the world will accept you. So let's talk about educating your soul. Now, this is not any of those woo stuffs you hear out there, but it's more about how you see yourself from within yourself and how you appreciate yourself from within yourself. It's about those internal words that you speak to yourself, those chatters that come into your mind from time to time. You know, when you're about to do something and a piece of your mind tells you you're not good enough, you can't do this thing, you're not from a rich family, or you don't have a connection somewhere, and so you can't do those things. The reality is, it is you telling yourself those things, those little chatters, and you have to learn to control those chatters. You know, you have to learn to control what your mind tells you, because at the end of the day, you are your mind. So in order to be able to do this, you need to find time to meditate and reflect on things, reflect on how you've responded to events, reflect on situations, reflect on what you tell yourself before you go out and do things. But in order to do this as well, you also need to learn about your environment, what's obtainable in your environment. You know, you can't take things that are obtainable in the UK and just come into Nigeria and plant it there and say, yes, I'm educating my soul. This happens in the UK, so it must happen in Nigeria. And this is how the UK accepts me. So it must, I must be accepted this way in Nigeria. No, there are cultural differences, cultural biases, and all those things. So you need to learn to appreciate your environment in order to feed your soul with the right things. And then you also need to learn to apply what people call the law of gratitude. You know, they say a grateful mind is a receiving mind. I know there are some Yorubas here on this platform, Yoruba students, and some of you will understand if I say this thing in Yoruba, and please forgive my Yoruba if I'm not saying it the right way. They say, "Omo to ba dupe ore ano, ari igba." You know, it's basically saying that if you are a grateful mind, if you show gratitude for the things you receive, no matter how big or small it is, then you've opened up yourself to be able to receive more things. You know, it's just like if I give you a gift today and you're not grateful for that gift, what happens is tomorrow I'll be very wary about giving you a gift because I'm not sure if you'll be grateful for that gift. And so if it's time for me to give you things, I will move back because I'll say, this person doesn't show appreciation, you know? So the law of gratitude is also a way to educate your soul. Now, let's talk a bit about, educating during the pandemic. And I said before that I'll give you an experience of the UK, what's happening in the UK. So currently in the UK, we're experiencing the third wave of the pandemic. So basically everywhere is shut down. Now you don't go out unless, you're a care worker or you're an important person that needs to go out. Maybe you work in the hospital and things like that. Or the job you do requires that you need to be physically present. Now, what's happened in the schools is that all the schools have been shut down. But guess what? Schooling continues. So we're starting to use homeschooling and applying the power of technology to make this happen. So learning continues, as if all the students are in school. Now, I'm talking to you from home and I'm stuck somewhere in the kitchen. And why is that the case? Because my 3 kids are spread around the house in different places, attending classes on their computers, okay? And my wife is also working somewhere in the house on a computer. And for my children, you can see the teachers in class talking to them, just like we're having this experience on Zoom. Their teachers are using Google Classrooms or Zoom or Teams, Microsoft Teams. And they continue to teach the students as if they were in class. The students have breakout sessions where each one of them will interact with themselves and discuss what they've learned in class. In fact, my daughter has, after school, about 4 o'clock, she gets on a Zoom session with some of her friends from class. She's in secondary school, and they talk about what they've learned in school today. You know how when we all gather together and say, okay, after class, let's talk to somebody who knows a lot more than all of us and learn from that person. So they do that with Zoom. They talk about the things they've learned in class and things they don't understand, the things they understand. But guess what? Even the teachers have a session set aside for the students, so that when they finish classes and they struggle with some concepts, they can go into that breakout session that has been organized by the teacher and ask questions, questions that they might not have been able to ask in class while they're still trying to assimilate that knowledge. So what's this teaching us? What is this experience teaching us? Even though the pandemic is a bad thing, people have lost their lives, it's not the best of situation, we've all been able to find a way around it. We've all been able to utilize technology to continue living, not to stop our lives, not to stop our activities. Offices continue to work, albeit from the homes, and students continue to go to school, albeit from their bedrooms or from anywhere in the house, as long as they have, the technology to access it. Now, the UK government has even gone a step further. There are some families that can't afford computers. And so what they've done is you apply to the school, you tell the school that, you can't afford a computer, because it's not everyone that can afford to, buy computers for their kids. Or maybe they just have one computer in the house. Yes, in the UK, maybe they have one computer in the house. And if people are working from home, somebody has got to use that computer. And so the government is aware of this. And when you apply to the school for a computer or a tablet, they'll provide you with that so that the students can continue to learn, because education is very, very important. And if we don't educate our youth today, what kind of leaders do you want to have in the future? So let me wrap this up very quickly and allow other guest speakers to be able to talk. In summary, what I've said today is, for us to build our nation, we need to educate our youths so that they have content and context. They are very punchy in their delivery. They have something to give back to the community, to the society, to the nation, to be able to build the nation with. And then I talked about building our focus on 3 types of education. And these 3 types of education don't work in isolation. They work together as one. And that is educating your mind, educating your body, and educating your soul. And I've also said that COVID, although it's not a very, very good thing, we've been able to be resilient and find a way. Necessity is the mother of all invention. And we've been able to find our way around it to continue living our lives. Obviously, following the rules that have been set out by the government of wherever you find yourself, But it has shown us that even when schools are shut down, schooling still continues. So let me leave you with that, and let me allow that to sink into your mind, as I understand that there will be lots of other speakers today and you need to learn from them as well. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for your time. I'll keep quiet now. Tayo, you can take over.
Good day, everyone. Every highly esteemed personality on today's program. Happy celebration. My name is Temilola Augustina Beckley. I'm from Oshodi, Lagos, Education District 6, Lagos. As we observe 2021 International Day of Education all over the world, I would like to share my thoughts, my simple thoughts on innovation. That is one of the 3 segments on which the General Assembly of the UNESCO has planned this year's celebration. So I'm just going to share my thoughts on innovations. But I know that there's no way I'll talk about innovations that will not talk about financing, which is the third part of the segment. For me, let me just give you some statistics in the course of my studies. Statistics have shown that about 215 million children do not attend school at all. About 617 million children and adolescents cannot read or even do simple mathematics. In sub-Saharan Africa, in some countries in Africa, we have less than 40% of girl children that do complete lower secondary school. And there's a lot of refugees that are children, that are adolescents, that are youth, that are also out of school. So when you look at all these challenges, coupled with the crippling effects of the COVID-19 pandemic that almost shut down the whole system globally, including education, you will agree with me, there is an urgent necessity or need for us to have drastic, workable, realistic, and functional reforms, or let me call it, my own innovations, let me call them reforms. I'll start by talking about the outlook of the national curriculum. I know that any curriculum should be global in nature, in concept. It should also be broad-based. But I think I'm going to be very specific, maybe to my own country. I think any curriculum that is going to be functional, though broad-based and global in nature, should also take care of the peculiarities of the country, of the area, of the people. So that we're not just working on what works for people outside our own world, but we're also looking at something that is sustainable, that is global, that is competitive globally. So the government needs to do a lot. Those in charge of formulation of policies and all that. Then concerning the teachers, we are the ones that interpret, so to say, the policies that are being formulated in our own way, according to training, according to practice. So I believe the teachers should be trained and retrained, and it should be continuous, should be consistent. And I want to say that Lagos State, Nigeria has really done a lot in that area, though there's still a lot to be done. So if teachers are trained in developing content, digital content, in lesson delivery, in how assessment would be harmonized with the lesson objectives and all that, so that the children are not just being bombarded with facts and figures, the things that are practicable, they are project-oriented, that will help them to be able to think critically, that will help them to apply what they learn in the classroom to their immediate society and even the larger society. So we need a lot of training in that. And one thing I've realized in my experience, my little experience, is that I'll use my own state and district as an example. We've gone through a lot of training and we're still doing that. But I discovered that a lot of teachers are still not coming out of their fixed mindset. We have grown, we've spent 30 years on the job. In the next 5 years, we're leaving. So we believe that we don't have much to learn. But I always say this: if you are a housewife and cook in the kitchen, and when you feel that the heat is too much, it becomes too much, is that how you get out of the kitchen? Or you tone down the heat in whatever way you have chosen, or you just have a way of adapting to the heat. So I believe that as far as teachers' responsibilities and roles are concerned, we need to develop a growth mindset more. We need to have a kind of change in attitude so that we will move with the dynamics of the times and the seasons and all that. Education is a serious business. It has to do with passion. It has to do with calling. It has to do with something that is innate. It has to come naturally. You need to give all that you have into it, regardless of the challenges and the odds and all that. So, and I also want to say that when teachers are trained, there should be a reward system for motivation. And those who have decided that, okay, we've had enough, we don't have anything to give in, there should be a kind of control. Then I also want to say that in terms of e-learning, the government needs to do more. Either the government cannot fund education alone. There's little the government can do on its own, but the government all over the world, especially in Africa, need to partner with the private sectors so that the e-learning teaching or form of educating the children will not be something that we just talk about. It's something that is living, that is active, that will have a lifelong effect on the students. So the government is trying, but they need to do more, especially for those children that come from disadvantaged homes, where the parents don't have the financial capacity, you know, to upgrade to the level of those who are from rich homes, who are very privileged. So most times, the parents don't have internet-enabled devices. So the little we can with the cooperation of the government, we're trying, especially in Lagos State, but the government needs to do more so that those children, when they are in school, what they lack at home can be, you know, made up for in school. So that the dichotomy that is already existing, even before the COVID-19 pandemic, you know, will be, if not completely closed, will not be widened further. And I want to say for those of us on the field who are not policy makers, but we interpret in our own way, we implement the policy at our own end, we will continually complement the efforts of the government, not just by talking, but we have to do the talk, just like the convener of this program here in Nigeria always says. So we will do our best to make sure that we give shape, we give life, we give more impact to the much that the government is doing already. So that we're not just impacting the head knowledge, we're not just concerned about the cognitive aspect, we want to look at the development of a total child, even in this digital world. The teachers need on their own, apart from what the government is doing, to be able on their own, spending money and resources without waiting for the government or any sponsorship, to be able to get themselves equipped with the, you know, the required technological tools so that we can meet up with the new normal, because I don't believe that even after the COVID-19 is completely off, as we believe, we can't go to the old. So we have to come to the realities of the new normal. We have to be equipped. We have to be prepared, because it's what we have that we can give to the students. And as we do that, I pray that the world will be better for it. I want to wish every student, every educator all over the world a happy, successful, International Day of Education, that truly it will be a celebration of education being used as a tool for peace and development all over the world. So finally, I want to say thank you to my commissioner in Lagos State, my TG, the First Mother in Education, 6, the convener of this program, and every facilitator that has come on board. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Beckley, for that wonderful presentation. And it's very true. It's a very, teaching is a passionate thing. And you've shared quite a lot with us today. I would like to welcome the presence of our mother, an amiable person. She's made this event a success, and we would like to thank her for that. But I'd like to personally welcome the Tutor General Permanent Secretary, Mrs. Oludara Okelola. Thank you very much, ma'am, for joining the session.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you for having me on this program. I welcome you. I welcome our people who have logged on, who have joined us on this program with the theme of recover and revitalize education in the post-COVID era. Well, I want to say that we know that this is not, that we call it the new normal, in the sense that the world is changing, and one thing that is permanent or that we cannot avoid is change itself. And in Nigeria, I can tell you confidently that we are matching up with the world in these COVID times. We are recovering in the sense that we are trying to get back what our students had lost in the last maybe 10, 11 months. And we are trying to see what we can do to make sure that they match up or they compare with their counterparts all over the world. I can tell you this morning that in Lagos State, I am the TGPS of Education District 6. I represent the governor and our commissioner. I can assure you that in Lagos State, we are doing all we can to make sure that our students are not missing in school. Like presently, we have blended learning. They don't come to school every day. They come every other day. And the times they are not in school, provisions have already been made to cater for them. During the last year, during the long period that schools were not in session, there were a lot of online programs. There were a lot of radio and television programs. We had a lot of sponsors who joined us. First Bank Broadcast, the First Lady herself through Council. So many people who made sure that all that the students need to be able to be able to continue their education, all these things were provided for them. We had lesson on television. We had lesson even on radio, from the primary school up to the secondary SS3. Then apart from that, radios were provided with batteries for students who live in hard-to-reach areas. Because we look at it like, assuming they don't have internet, they were given radios, and I can assure that every nook and cranny of Lagos State was covered. Then even as students in SS3, they were given tablets with curriculum, downloaded curriculum, to make sure that no matter what, they can follow what is not, for whatever reason, assuming they are not in school, and we know they cannot be in school all the time because of what is happening, because we have to make sure that physical and social distancing is observed. So the period they are not in school, the government makes sure through a lot of our people, a lot of our sponsors, they were given this television, they were given these tablets and the radios with a downloaded thing to make sure that all they need is there. And even now, the schools resumed last week, 18th, and I can assure you that our students are back in shape. Even during the holidays, during the Christmas break, they were being taught. They were being taught. They have a lot of things going on. And presently in District 6, we have started a program for them, computer-based test program. And presently, 11 subjects are being tested for our SS3 students, and gradually we are going to go to GS3 students. We are preparing them for school start exam. We're also preparing them, even with time, the GS3, like I said, we joined, but now we are preparing them for their WASE exam, West African Senior School Certificate exam, and even for JAM, post-UTME, so that what they are learning, they test them. Then this test is supposed to be such that maybe if a child is supposed to take a test like 10 a.m. this morning, the app line is opened for the child for the next 12 hours. For whatever reason, if that child could not access, maybe because the parent's phone is not accessible at that particular time, the child is given the opportunity till 10 p.m. to still log on. And these tests are marked for them online, and they are corrected. And the essence of this is that as time goes on, they get better. So these are some of the things that Lagos State government is doing. And there are a lot of other things that we are doing to make sure that they are not lagging behind, because we know that it's a global world and they are competing globally, and we don't want our children to be disadvantaged. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ma, for that wonderful presentation. Lagos State is really doing very well and putting in a lot of efforts to ensure that our students continue to learn. We really appreciate that, and I'm sure the students will understand, the importance of what the Lagos State government is doing to continue the education. I would like to present. Oh, Tayo, you're here. Okay.
Thank you so much. Our excellent presentation from the TGPS, the chief host and the mother, Mrs. Oludara Okelola, the chief host of this event. A wonderful presentation for us. I just want you to go to chat box and just give your comments. Say, I want to see those comments. Let it keep coming. Let those comments keep coming. Excellent presentation for us. Thank you so much for being a mother and for standing tall to the cause of education in this part of the world. Mr. Aromire, what do you just want to say about what she said in 30 seconds? What can you just deduce from that?
No, I mean, basically what she said is very, very inspiring. I would say, Lagos State is doing a lot for the students, and they are doing exactly what we're doing here in the UK. So, they've matched up with the international standards. Like I said earlier, students were being provided with laptops or tablets if they don't have it at home. But it's exactly the same thing that is happening in Lagos. They're provided with tablets that have the curriculum on it. They're using the computer-based test application to help students, study and prepare for exams. They are basically matching up, and I'm really, really glad and impressed to hear that. It's a wonderful thing we're doing in Lagos, and I'm sure the students as well, will be able to benefit from it. And it's like I said earlier, schools can be shut, but schooling will still continue, and that is what is being exemplified by what's happening in Lagos State today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. You're wasting too much time. We're going straight to Yu-Chieh Ajigenis from Chicago, United States. Yu-Chieh, are you here with us? Let us know if you are here. Yu-Chieh, how you doing? It's nice to see you. Yeah, you. Okay, over to you, and you have the floor. You can unmute yourself now. Yes, you need to unmute yourself. And you do. Yes, you need to unmute yourself. You can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I can hear you now.
Yes, okay. It said I needed to be able to speak, so I was waiting. Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How about you? Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shalom Enyojolua Ajigini. I am residing in the United States of America. It is currently 4 a.m. So I'm here for everyone. Yes, it is 4 a.m. and I'm here just for everyone to talk to you about the importance of education. I am 16 years old and I am a junior in high school, which is SS2 in Africa. And yeah. So before we start, I want to let everyone know a little bit about me. Like I said, I'm 16 years old. I currently am in SS2 in America. I have many interests. I love to eat. I love to cook. I love to learn different languages. I love art. I love music, any form of it. And it's just like, those are just small things in which show me I am a believer in Christ. I find it really important to love and care for others in many ways. And that's really just who I am. before we start, I do want to tell you when I hear the word education and what it means to me. So one of the speakers did say earlier that education was an enlightening experience, and I have to agree, because education isn't, like you said, it isn't only studying. It can be having fun in your backyard, learning about animals. It can also be learning how to use cameras, learning how to dance. So there's many different forms of education, which I have experienced throughout my life. And even during 2020 to 2021, because of COVID, I have found different ways in which I can educate myself using YouTube or using the people around me. My story of education, my life, yes. When I first started at a private school in Wisconsin, I moved to Chicago and I went to a public school. And then I went to a private school again for high school. And with that did come trials, because I saw education as important, very important to me, and it's like very important to my family. Bullying did come with that, like, strive to learn. But I think it's important, like one of the speakers that said earlier, it's important to know yourself and know what is important to you and what you want to succeed in as you continue to grow. And I was able to realize that after, it did take about 6 years, but I was able to realize that before I did move on to high school, and I continue to express how much I appreciate education and how much it is important to me and how much I want to continue to seek it out for myself. The benefits of seeking out education is that you get many opportunities, like this one I'm here speaking to you, which I'm so happy I'm doing, thank you. But also, it also comes with understanding. You get an understanding of different things. Like for me, the way I used the coronavirus and I used 2020, I decided to, like I said, I am learning different things, and I do at school learn a Mandarin, and I also took the time to use the internet to learn Korean as well as Yoruba. I know I should be able to speak Yoruba, but I've been learning from my mom and my parents, so I'm thankful to them. And also just using the technology. And as I see that Lagos is, what's it called, helping, is reaching out to the kids and making sure that they're able to use that, have that source of education. And I'm grateful to you for doing that, because it's important that many people, or many kids, no, not kids, people my age, people a little younger and people a little older, that we continue to educate ourselves, because no one knows it all. And I think it's important that we understand that not everybody knows everything, but that we can continue to learn from each other. So it's important that we do go and seek out what we can with what we have. I'm also talking to the teenagers and little kids and also the big kids as well, that it's important that we don't only wait for others to help us, but we also go and try to help ourselves. And also, the reason I appreciate education is because it also gives me a sense of freedom. Not freedom as in, oh, I don't have to do work. No, you still have to do work. It's more of a freedom as in, like, based on what you're learning or based on what you are achieving. So for me, a form in which I feel freedom is financial freedom, because I have had the opportunity to be educated on the importance of money and how I can make money work for me. I have been through school, I've been able to take time and learn that it's important to, like, invest or just make sure you're not always spending, saving, and just looking out for myself, but then also my family and my future. And also another thing I've been doing is just going back to the community. If I'm able to share my screen, I would like to do that. If anyone can enable me to do that, because it is disabled. But yes, when that does get enabled, I would like to share my screen and show you guys a little bit of what I've been able to do, even though even though coronavirus has been around, I've been able to do, oh, thank you. Yes, I've been able to, I can now share my screen. So let me get to that. Oh. So since coronavirus did happen, I have been able to, I just remember that in 2020, we did have school around January and February. So some of these events are from that time. And for my sports and my clubs, I play volleyball. So we did have tournaments and we were able to take pictures, and we've just been able to like just enjoy ourselves and enjoy like the education of being physically fit. But then also because of coronavirus, I am one of the heads of Anime Club, which is I don't know if anyone knows the genre of anime, but anime is a Japanese form of television. And I've been able to do that with my group at school. Like you see here, we did it over Zoom, as well as other things like school programs, just reaching out. And also like I did an exchange program about 2 years ago, I guess. About 2 years ago, I did an exchange program, and I did caddying, which is where I am the person that helps golfers and I carry their bag. I did music. I went to a lot of banquets. I was a very active person, and it shows that like I tried to seek out as much education in different forms, like the caddying, which is like golf education, the exchange program, different language, different personalities, different culture, and as well as the community. Within the community, every year I do a project, and as you see, this is my first project ever right here. I went to one of the like violently affected neighborhoods, and I reached out to them and I planted a peace tree there. Because my name Shalom, which also means peace, I went out and I reached out to them, and we were able to just like in the community, we were able to have people from the community come. We planted the tree, we did cleanups, we taught kids at homeless shelters about SMART goals. So when they grow up, it's important that they're educated on making a goal and setting a goal for themselves, so they don't fall back where they are now. As well as now you see the mask, because this year I went to the police to just reach out to the police and show that we cared, as well as leadership, different forms of leadership. I teach the kids at my church about Christ, and I teach 3 to 5 because I love little kids. And I was able to teach them. I've gone to different summits, different global leadership summits. I've taught the kids how to dance, and I've used my education to also reach out to others, which is very important, to not only keep it for yourselves. Like I don't know if anyone says it to you, but what I've heard most of my life is that it's important that you continue to teach what you know so you can get a better understanding of it. And I've been able to do that, which I'm thankful for. And as well as business, I took the time of 2020 to start a business. You see the masks as well, because yes, we did have to go out into the community, and we, had to make sure we were safe and protected. And that is what we did. So even though I do have different forms of education, I've been able to use that in my daily life, and I've also been able to use that to benefit myself. And I'm just so grateful for the opportunity, because not only am I using what I know, but I'm also like helping it to others that are younger than me, and even those that are older than me. And like I said before, it's just really important that we understand the value of education. And also, when understanding the value of education, we understand also how to revitalize it and how to change it. And I think it's important that in order to change education, you have to figure out what is best for you, what is best for you to understand that you are able to get what you want from that education. I know that COVID has happened, so we have to, I guess, navigate around, we have to navigate around online and just being in physical, but then also just try to go out into your backyard, go out to places that are safe, yes, safe, but also just even in your own kitchen. You can be educated about cooking in your own kitchen. There are so many ways in which we can revitalize education, and it just starts with ourselves, knowing who we are and knowing what is best for us as kids, as adults, and as elders. It just really starts with us. Education is, the reason there is education is because people want to learn. And because they want to learn, that means you as a person also want to be able to act upon what you learn. So it's just important that you understand that in order to change something, you first understand it, but then also change it to what best fits you. Again, I don't know, advice for anyone here. I think it's important that, I don't know how many people have told you this, but I hope everyone knows that the future of the boys and girls today will be the leadership of the near future. Can't say tomorrow, but some will be tomorrow, and some will also be of the near future. So it's important that we continue to reach out to people, my generation, people in the younger generation of me, because those are the people that will be the next president, the next business owner, the next person like that will be financing the state or financing a community. So it's just important that we educate those younger than us, or just like this, we educate this generation. But then when educating this generation, we also don't forget that of the older generation, because everyone is contributing from education. Everyone is getting something from learning from each other. And we, like I said before, we shouldn't keep what we learn to ourselves, but we should be able to push it out to others. It may be at home, it may be at church, it may be at school, friends, even a stranger on the street, but with a stranger, please be cautious. But it may be anyone. So just know that reaching out to others about education and reaching out to others about what you know is so important. And because it's so important, we have to understand to value it. And I just want like I said, I just want everyone to remember that the kids of this future, or the kids of today, will be the adults of the future, will be the leaders of the future, will be the organizers, would be the builders. So it's just really important that we understand that. I want to thank everyone. I want to thank the district. I want to thank Sir Tayo. I want to thank the Commissioner of Education. I want to thank the Tutor General. I just want to thank everyone. I want to thank DoTheDream. I just want to thank everyone, and I just want to thank everyone for letting me come here. I want to thank everyone who's supporting me. I also want to thank the kids my age. Thank you so much for coming to this. I don't know, and some may be 10 o'clock, some may be evening or 11 o'clock. I just want to thank everyone for taking the time to come and learn why it's important to educate yourself, and also why it's important to seek out different forms of education. I hope you have a wonderful day, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Ayuju. That's an excellent presentation from you. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Oh, you've taken some of our time, but it's okay. So we've learned that education, you can actually build a career from dancing to singing to a lot of things you can do over there. Thank you so much. Now we'll go straight to Jennifer Chang now, the Director of Monster Educational Foundation, Chicago. Jennifer, you here? It's your turn. Wow, I can see you. Can you hear me, Jennifer? Woo! It's over to you now. You have the floor now, Jennifer.
Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello? Okay.
Yes,
Thank you, Shalom. Hi, my name is Jennifer Chang, the Executive Director of Monster Education Foundation. And it is such an honor and privilege to be asked to share with you how we approach education in our program. And when we started 8 years ago, we were just 4 people who wanted to make the biggest impact we could on some of the most needy communities in Chicago, but with the least amount of money. And actually, the reason how our little project started was, all because I actually was a public school teacher long ago. And I came into education just really wanting to make this huge impact. My story is that a teacher who was university educated, I have 2 master's degrees. I went into the classroom full of hope, big ideas, grand plans to change the world. But as I stepped into my classroom in the west side of Chicago, into a sixth grade classroom, primary education, I was surrounded by, amazing teachers who knew how to teach children and who were from like troubled homes, brothers and uncles that had been shot, with gun violence, had multiple half brothers from like different moms, different dads, all in the family. I stepped into the class unaware that I was in just over my head. And to make a long story short, the kids would not listen to me. Fights broke out in my class every day. I panicked and I broke down crying in my class, and I cried every day in my class. And I just miserably failed as a teacher in my 6th grade classroom. And even though there were, 3 kids out of 27 in my class who desperately wanted to learn, I could tell because, they leaned forward just to try to hear me. Because I could not control the class, I couldn't even teach these kids who wanted to learn. So I resigned in failure after only 1 month. And I remember that last day in the class was my 33rd birthday. So I know exactly what day it was. And now maybe you regret asking me to share on this International Day of Education. Okay, but thankfully, the message that God gave me that day long 8 years ago was that even though I wanted so badly to go to a neighborhood that needed good education, I was not going to be the one that would make that big impact. And if I wanted to make that difference in a community that had like less than 50% high school graduation rate, high rates of drugs and violent crimes, then I actually needed to find the kids themselves and help them become the leaders. And our speaker right before me, Shalom, is one of those amazing leaders who we found. And not because I was an amazing leader 8 years ago. I was a failed teacher, but because no matter how badly I failed as a teacher, I knew that there was still, something that I could offer just because, I'm older than them, right? I'm older than the kids. I have some life experience that they don't have. So anyway, Monster Education Foundation was formed. And what we do is we go to those most difficult neighborhoods in Chicago with the lowest graduation rates and the highest amount of crime. And we choose the best students. And we choose, in particular, we choose 6th grade kids. So, 11 years old, Shalom, when we chose you. The ones that are the most, we ask the teachers to, have that lens and nominate kids that are the most driven, the ones who are college bound, who are leaders in the classroom, influencing their classmates, who are compassionate and who are peacemakers. And through a rigorous application process with 2 essays and an interview, we choose 4 kids every year and we invest in them so that they themselves will make that huge impact. And we start college savings accounts for them when they are selected. And we add money into this fund for each student for 6 years, depending on how involved they are and depending on how well they take advantage of the opportunities we offer them, through our programming. So the more our scholars lead and make an impact, the bigger their scholarship becomes. So our vision is to help raise the next generation of leaders for the communities who need the servant leaders the most. And we support our kids from 6th grade until they graduate from high school. Each year, our students are given the duty, like their assignment is to do 1 service project every year. And Monster Education Foundation, we fund their project. For example, our students have led peace rallies in some violent neighborhoods. They do like litter pickups, like garbage pickups, gathering their friends to clean up. They have partnered with churches and have like a community day where they, collect food and school supplies, clothing, and invite those in need to come and take things that they need and have fellowship. One of our students actually got beat up really badly. Like he was beat up by a gang of kids, and while he was playing basketball, and this happened right before he went to high school in 8th grade. So his family decided for their project to go back to that same playground and have a peaceful rally in March. So every student is supposed to it has to do a project every year. And when they do that project, then we give them $100 in US dollars into their college savings account. And you know, when they submit their report cards and they do well, every, you know, good grades, they get more money. So we try to keep on motivating our kids with incentives like that. And our hope and prayer is that as we invest in them, they will invest in their friends and their community. And we hope that our kids will grow up, you know, go to college, become leaders in their fields, and come back to their community as leaders. And these leaders will reach way more people than I or any of us ever will be able to reach on our own. And they are the eyes and ears of their community. And if there's one thing we want to teach and show our kids, it's that you can make a difference, you know, wherever you are, whatever age you are, whether that is like a small difference, you know, as you keep on knowing and being empowered, you realize that your influence grows little by little. So when this pandemic hit Chicago, you know, back in March, our board, we panicked and we worried about all our scholars. And the first thing we thought about was that many of our kids' parents might lose their jobs because everything was shut down. And you know, many of them already lived, you know, paycheck to paycheck. And then we also worried about their emotional well-being because, you know, it was so scary. We didn't know, you know, this virus, it's invisible and it's affecting everyone. So the first two things we started was just, you know, having just weekly Zoom check-ins. Like once a week, we had a weekly Zoom check-in with our scholars, and we paid them for coming. We put more money into their bank account every time that they came, you know, to show, to get them to come. And we also sent each of our scholars, each of the families, you know, $100. It's not that much money, but just to show them that, you know, if you need it for, you know, groceries, or if your parents, their jobs were affected, you know, go and, you know, get whatever they need. But if your parents did not lose their job, you know, use that $100 to help someone else, you know, around them. And then we decided to still, even though there was that pandemic raging all around us, we decided to still brainstorm and figure out how we could serve and empower those around us. So our first idea, the free idea, just so simple, was to pray for Chicago and for the frontline workers. And so I asked all our students to use their, you know, phone cameras or their computer and send me a prayer. So on the chat link, I just put the link to that prayer if you want to see it later. And then, you know, we compiled a video and then we sent it to like police officers, and we sent it to the hospital workers, you know, just to let them know that we were thinking about them and we're grateful for them. And then we also received like a wonderful donation of masks when, you know, the early days of the pandemic, masks were so hard to come by. So when we got this donation, we asked our students to, you know, make a list of people who were, you know, had medical conditions or people who are working in the front line. And, you know, we passed it out to them so that they could pass it out to their friends and the elderly around them. And even though, you know, they were suffering in many ways themselves, we still asked each of our students, you know, still do a service project. And so we brainstormed about, you know, how can you serve your community even though, you know, we're in this pandemic. And like great ideas came, like our kids came up with ideas. Like one of them was, you know, we had 2 high schoolers who decided to do a Zoom workshop for 8th graders going up to high school, like giving advice on how to be successful. And, you know, we had a student fundraise on Facebook and raised over $500 to buy hygiene items and pass it out to the homeless. So actually many of our scholars served the homeless during this time, you know, thinking about the most vulnerable. And Shalom, she told you, but she had this amazing idea, this project of designing and creating masks and then passing out to the police officers in Chicago with, you know, thank you notes and Bible verses and candy, and encourage them that, you know, when you might have heard in, you know, all over the world that the US, we, you know, have such tension between the police officers and the Black community. And, you know, Shalom went to the police officers and said, we hear you and we care for you and we're so thankful for you. So this never-ending assignment that they are burdened with, it's to identify a problem and come up with their own solution. Whether it's a small thing like a litter pickup or a big thing, you know, there's something that you could do. And, you know, another thing we were able to do during this pandemic was we started a Google Doc, you know, for each of our kids and asked them to write in it every day, or, you know, and we paid them for writing in it. I think we paid them, you know, $2.50 every day that they wrote in it. And we read it, and then we got to know like what YouTubers that they were following, or what Netflix series that they were watching. We also got to hear about their struggles and their wishes. And as we read these journal entries and met with them each week, we actually got to know our scholars even better than before. So in a way, this pandemic, brought our community together. So, one little thing we did that was kind of for fun was we knew that a lot of kids were bored because they're stuck at home. So we told them, go on Amazon and find something that's less than $20 and let us know what you want. And we sent it to them. So whether it was, a puzzle or journals or games or something, we bought them a little gift. And the more that they realized that we really do care for them. So we built this trust, over 6 years that we have with them. And as we find out their dreams and their hopes and their career goals, we try to give them the practical tools to help them reach these futures. So, and one of the easiest and free impactful tools we give is the people connections. We introduce our scholars to as many people in diverse fields and diverse backgrounds as possible. And a lot of these meetings are just through Zoom. Now that we have Zoom, like anybody from the world is our resource basically. And we want our scholars to impress these guys, these adults, these people in their fields. Like we got to introduce one of our scholars to an FBI agent who lives in New York, and impress them. Just be yourself, and most adults, they want to hear that a kid wants to be like them. It just feels good, And if it's only one kid, I mean, you can have a conversation with them, and if they're memorable, who knows? When you get a chance, you'll want to help them. So anyway, I don't know how much time I have, but yeah, it's been really just, even this pandemic has been a time to really get to know our kids better. And just one thing that we were able to do that was really easy is, we wanted to also, we have some just college students that wanted to help out, and they asked if they could, get to know some of our scholars. So we started this thing called the 5 challenges over Zoom. And basically, if they do 5 things, that introduce yourself over one meeting, second meeting, play a game together like chess, or and then number 3 is eat something together. So they would get food and eat on the screen together, talking. Number 4 is like a show and tell, where they got 3 items and they showed each item and told why that item was important to them. And then number 5 is teach something to each other. And if they do those 5 things, then we gave them a prize, like a sweater, a sweatshirt. So we came up with a lot of little ideas to introduce our scholars to other people. And we also had this amazing leadership conference just over Zoom again. We usually do it live, of course, but we were able to get 20 adults from different fields. And honestly, these are just my friends and my friends of friends. It's not like we got the most amazing speakers to come and be these leaders, but they're just adults who have lived life, who pay bills, who have a job and serve, their community. And we matched them up one to one or 2 to 1. And we let them do a month worth of budgeting. And, the adult shares this is how much my electricity bill is. And this is, how much I pay for rent. And this is how much taxes are. And this is how much money I give to my church for offering. And they went through everything that they spend, in 1 month, and then shared with the kids. Now, what do you want to be when you grow up? And, how do you want to spend your money? So it's just such a practical, easy exercise that we were able to do over Zoom. So anyway, when it comes down to it, as an organization, we educate our kids basically by, number 1, just believing in them and loving them. They're not perfect, but the truth is, we don't know everything about each of our scholars, and maybe that's a good thing, because it's easy to love them when you don't know all the bad things. And we just weed out that myth that they're not perfect, and none of us are. So we just decide to love them unconditionally, because as Christians, we believe that Jesus Christ loved us unconditionally. So we will do this for our students. It's not that hard. Even if they don't have good grades, or if they get into trouble, or, we just found out one of our kids got pregnant in college. And, because we have built this trust over the years, I was able to tell her, I love you, but don't sleep with anyone anymore. You know, don't get yourself into that trouble again until you get married. And then, you know, I'm not sure if the people around her are telling that. So number one, just loving them unconditionally. Number two is just motivating them through, you know, rewarding them, incentivizing them, you know, giving that job, that assignment of, you know, do that service project and we'll reward you for it. And some of our students have earned way more money than other scholars. And so I sometimes I use that and I say, hey, why didn't you, you know, there's other kids who have earned way more money than you. Actually, Shalom, she's earned more money than the kids who have been in the program for a year longer than her, most of them. So, you know, we coach them, and that's life, you know, it's, you get compared, but we challenge them, you know, with love. So anyway, thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you so much, Jennifer Chang. Excellent presentation. Thank you. Awesome. We're coming back to you for a question because I have 2 questions for you already, but we won't waste time. Now we'll move straight to the founder, Startup Arewa, and the CEO, co-founder of Domineum, Mohammed JEGA. Ladies and gentlemen, how they found that online for you now. It's your session now, and over to you, Mohammed JEGA. Please, you can unmute yourself. You need to unmute yourself. You need to unmute yourself. Can you hear me? Wow. Okay. It's a session, sir. You need to unmute yourself. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
I can hear you.
My pleasure to be here with you this afternoon. It's already okay, morning, still morning. My name is Mohammed Ibrahim JEGA, so right here. A tech entrepreneur. I've founded 2 successful startups. One is VoguePay, an online payment processing company, which we started from Nigeria. We bootstrapped all to see how we can be able to solve the issue of payment processing. We came into the market to see, to provide the need gap when to have a payment capability in your company, you have to spend up to $1,000 then. So we came in to disrupt the space. We've been in the space for over 1 decade now, started from Nigeria, and we took this platform globally, currently operating in 3 countries, Nigeria, UK, and as well as Bahrain in the market. I also moved to co-found one of the blockchain technology company called Domineum, which is a blockchain-enabled technology company, to see how we can be able to help bring blockchain as a service to help automate process, also enhance service delivery in business and government, and let's say bring transparency. And over the past 3 years, we've been using that avenue to see how we can be able to automate processes in for providing solution as far as senior loan, to see how we can help to support them with cargo tracking solution, and also here in Nigeria, also with the land registration in Abia State. So I founded a tech movement called Startup Arewa 5 years ago because of my passion for youth involvement, for my passion for touching, creating impact in young people, because I see technology as bedrock for every development. And in 21st century, I see the need for us to be able to utilize our expertise, our skills. And how do we build skills in this knowledge economy is to be able to conscientize and bring the minds of young people to understand the need for them to be able to utilize what they have. I'm a strong advocate of certificates because my skills pay my bills. A lot of people feel that it's about It's about what you don't know. It's about what you can offer. Is what you can offer. So I'm so excited to be here today in the midst of all these fantastic speakers. I've been here since 10 a.m. listening to amazing resources, talking and sharing knowledge about what it is. I want to commend also the organizers for bringing me to come and share on this very important day. That's International Education Day. COVID has come and it has already become it's a new normal. And what we need to do is to see how best we can be able to utilize some of those opportunities and leverage on it. Because as young people, we understand that young people are digital natives. That's what I would say. They are digital natives because they are born in the era of computers. So you can see, that's why you see we've seen greatest advancement from 80s to 2000 in the world, which has to do with advancement in science and massive development in technology. And this period ushered a new era through mass production of personal computers. Not to exaggerate to say that technology has revolutionized the world. It has revolutionized business. And it has also helped learning, which also an entertainment and many more have been made easier because you have more access to it due to that. I'm here in Abuja, Nigeria, and I'm talking to you. We're all on a platform, talking from different locations and communicating, and we're reaching out instead of having a physical meeting. So we're having a virtual meeting. So this is what technology can actually do to you. To the extent that this, you see, more activities, many activities depend hugely on the internet because traditional means of doing this have been abandoned. But because what we need to understand is today's youth, whereas largely in the period where computers and technology gadgets were fast becoming life essentials, because technology and computer have become parts and parcels of our lives. We can do without them mostly because many of them learn to operate computers as early as age 5, because you see young people, if you give a young child, a small boy at the age of 3, 4, a phone or a computer, he doesn't need a manual to power it, to use it, to do and communicate. He can be able to navigate his way into that because their early introduction to computers and gadgets is important roles that have been played in their formative years because it just have really influenced them to a large extent because many trends born in the internet and the computers such as social media platform are essential part of the living. Because many years ago, we know the issue of there were no hashtags, there were no search engines, there were no FaceTiming, there were no e-stores, there were no e-books. But anything, there was not simply no anything nothing electronic. Despite the huge positive impact of technology on the youths, it also has a drawback on them because it's a good side of it, there's a bad side of it. And what we need to look at also, youths have been known to be big of innovation and creativity. You can see a lot of young men and women being known to the forefront of innovation in the likes of arts, businesses, governance, and many other ones. And you see, in the today's grand inventions, today's historical figures, you can see there are so many features that you can see that a lot of young people have possessed in terms of bringing in critical in the age of forgotten youths to engage to see how they can be able to do it, the ability to create and innovate innovation. It's a virtual process only by a handful of young people, because we've seen that in startup area, because we've seen technology. Earlier before, we have this myth that if you're not in Lagos, if you're not in Abuja, you don't have what it takes to offer in terms of skills. But when we went down to the grassroots, in the nooks and crannies, in the Abakaliki, in Ibadan, in Shagamu, in Taraba, in Adamawa Yola, we've seen raw talents. We've seen amazing young people doing disruptive things, trying to solve problems utilizing different avenues. But the problem they have is there's no support structure, there's no one talking to them, there's nobody trying to help them discover themselves, and there's nobody helping them to nurture these ideas that they have. And these skills were built in independently. You didn't go to any class to learn the skills. They learned the skills on their own because of the power of technology. So this has really showed us that we have what it takes to be able to solve our problems using technology. Every problem we see, be it security problem, be it technology problem, scientific problem, be it infrastructure problem, be it logistics problem, we can all solve it with the technology. And if we tax our young people internally by providing a solution, let's say, give them what we call hackathon to do, they can actually do something that will solve this problem. Currently, we have just launched a hackathon competition 5 days ago in collaboration with Financial Support Innovation, that's FSI, to see the need to solve the problem of financial inclusion in women. Financial inclusion in women, because it's a serious issue that we have realized that has really created a gap in terms of what it's because we've looked at the reports that are PwC report in 2020 April, which says 41% of the micro businesses in Nigeria are owned by women. And according to reports, more than 55% of these are financially excluded adults in Nigeria, because over 25.1 million financially excluded in the north, and 13.1 million are women. So, and business transactions are largely dominated in cash within the informal channels. Business funds are kept at home because financial institutions concentrate in the state capital, and few distance towns, poor record of keeping as a result of transaction through informal channels, and which has thrown hampers into their eligibility of profits. And this is what it is. The government have been talking about financial inclusion, but still, all the markets that the banks and the fintechs are chasing is still less than 60%. 40% are still on banks, are still not financially included. So what we need to do is to see how we can be able to engage these women to come up with a solution that will help them in the areas of micro savings, loans, and what have you, because some women still keep their money in their waist and their hair tie and co. Our mothers still do that. So that's what I'm just giving you a practical use case of what we're doing currently, not telling you a story or historical information, because everything that we're going to do is about what we've done based on impact and evaluation, and this is the resources we'll be able to understand what it is. And this, I believe, this hackathon will give us a good first-hand information. This is the first time. This is the first time an organization is challenging young people to come up with a problem that has to do with a solution that involves a problem in the need gap that we've identified. And it's so I want to call upon a lot of participants, because I've seen a lot of young ladies, women, and amazing young people, if they can also participate on this program, because there's a lot of cash prize to be won. Over 3 million naira for the first winner, 2 million naira for the second winner, and 1 million naira for the third winner. Even though where there's a VC, there's a venture capitalist that's interested in investing in top 5 companies that have the best ideas in that space. You must not be a woman to have that idea, but you can form up a team and bring a woman in part of it to be able to help build that. And you must not be a developer. If you're an ideator, you can get a good, fantastic coder, developer, to tell them that this idea I have about financial inclusion, and that person can be able to come up with a prototype so that you build it and come in. Let's see how we can be able to solve our problems internally using technology, because technology has become part and parcel of our lives. And we've seen the impact of technology. We've seen how technology has been able to expose the weaknesses of some schools during this COVID, because during the COVID period, a lot of schools were shut down. There was nothing, there was nothing happening, but some of the schools who took their game to another level, they now introduced virtual classes, they introduced virtual learning, they now opted into adopting some virtual curriculum and virtual platforms like My Learning Academy, like ULearning, to be able to utilize them internally, to be able, so that their students will not be kept off date. Because it's very sad. Far in the back north, in some parts, a lot of parts of Nigeria, only a few schools in Nigeria were actually updated in terms of students. Some of them, the students were shut down for almost a year. It's not a joke to keep children for a year. No any information, nothing, no communication. So we need to look at how we can be able to utilize technology, especially in the area of e-learning, because e-learning is so critical to us. And in as much as we criticize COVID, but I'll tell you that I'm so happy because COVID has accelerated the use of technology. Where we're supposed to be in the next 7 to 10 years, we're already there. COVID has accelerated that acceptability because there was no any other option. We have to go to that route. So that's one of the advantages of COVID, I could say, that has brought in. And because also it has brought in a lot of advantages in terms of commerce. People now have to trust the system, to stay at home at the comfort of their desks, to be able to utilize, to buy goods and services to be delivered. And other businesses have to evolve. People now look at it that you must not have a conventional store before you can do business. You can actually have a virtual store and do business and receive money or wherever you are. And we've seen the power of internet. Why? Because we've seen people utilizing so many things they've been doing to be able to help them understand the markets and also help them build their capacity around it. And we've seen young people learning skills. We've seen different platforms coming up with different packages, free service for young people to build their skills and people to learn one thing or the other. And it has really created avenue for us to see that it has helped our society. So I want us to all look at it in this direction, that technology has become part and parcel of our lives. We can do without it, and our young people need to be encouraged to be able to build skills around whatever they do, even if it's application development skills, even if it's animation, even if it's programming, even it must be, even it's ideation, if it's ideation, so we can build the next big thing, because we have what it takes. We have the talents. We've seen so much resources among young people. We've been breaking barriers. I know I've been to every nooks and crannies in this country, every state. I've seen raw talent. It amazes me. It blows my mind. I've seen young people doing amazing things without no help. Some of them even don't have a good computer. Their screen is cracked, but they're still doing things. They're still learning. They're still learning. And these things, they'll go to YouTube, listen, watch videos, and see how it's been done, and they do it themselves. We've seen how digital media has evolved. People have now become, everybody is now digital media advocates, running businesses, promoting businesses. If you go to WhatsApp status now, on your WhatsApp, you see, if you have 10 contacts, believe me, over 5 contacts are selling goods and services on their WhatsApp. That's what they see. And we're excited to see that. People have learned that. We see our government. Government now have started evolving to go with to doing e-FEC. They've been running their FEC virtually. They've done over 10 cities. If there was no COVID, how would they have done that? So we want them to also imbibe e-governments, where we can have e-management, where we can bring all the ease and introduce them into the system so that they can help us build capacity and also there. So I want young people to look at how they can be able to try and make sure you learn a skill. Try and make sure you learn a skill. Connect with a hub in your community, wherever you are, even you are in Nigeria or out of Nigeria, because there are different innovation hubs now. Innovation hubs serve as a bedrock for learning, to connect with mentors, to connect with people, to learn from them, to leverage on them, to see how they can be able to mentor you, guide you, reshape this idea you have, this thing that you can be able, so that you can be able to develop it and expand it and look at that we can do. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm really excited to be here. I feel honored and looking forward to a very, very good collaboration in the future.
Thank you, Mohammed Ibrahim JEGA. Excellent and wonderful presentation from you. Awesome, awesome, awesome. You never disappoint. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Awesome. Thank you so much. You know, we have questions for you already, and I have 5 questions already for you. Please do not leave, because you're still going to tell us what inspired you to bring Mark Zuga back to Nigeria then 3 years back. You're still going to tell us how you were able to get that done and your passion. How do you think? People want to really know how you think. Why do you like doing big things all over the world? So we're still going to hear from you. Now, I'm sorry, we're echoing. It's time for another youngster here. A wonderful personality, Feromi Badmos from Babs Pafunwa Millennium School. Over to you, you have the floor.
Good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are. My name is Badmos Oluwaferemi from Baswa Millennium Senior Secondary School, Oshodi. And this morning, I'm Lagos State Nigeria to speak in this year's National Education Day on the 24th of January every year. This is the third actual incident I'm not aware of. I actually don't know about the sport, so I just want to tell you out there that the 24th of January every year is celebrate the international recover and revitalize education for COVID-19 education. Now, I was very happy when I saw this topic because a few weeks ago, this topic has been with nights. Just after resumption into school here in Lagos State on the 18th of January, we were discussing that about how the system of education in Nigeria has depreciated. Once upon a time, people were not forced to go to school, but they went to school because they knew they had something. They had something to gain at the end of education, and they had many opportunities waiting for them. But these days, you see graduates, especially here in Nigeria, who are out of job, seeking for okay, sorry about that. So these days we have several people who don't value education like it was before, probably due to some reasons best known to them. So today I'll be talking about the differences between education and schooling. Now, when the first speaker and the second speaker before the Tutor General came up and they were speaking about something similar to this, I was very happy, like, wow, like they knew what I was about to say. And this morning, I'd like us to take a look at some terms in the theme for this year. Recover. Recover means to regain possession of something stolen or lost. Now, to recover is to gain something. That it shows that there has been lost or something about the education system is missing. But for we to recover it, there's something we have to do, and we have to revitalize it. What's revitalize? This is to give new life or vigor to something. And education is an enlightening experience. Like I said earlier, education is different from schooling. So what is schooling? Schooling is the use of schools in education. Schooling is not education, and schooling should not be misunderstood for education. But schooling is a place used for education. What is a school? Is an institution designed to provide learning spaces and learning environment for the students or pupils under the direction of teachers. Now, what are the differences we have between education and schooling? There are several differences, of which I don't know when I was finished, but let me start with this. First, education makes you lifelong learners. Yes, schooling is for a period of time. You only school for about the first 18 years of your life, and after that, you move on with life. But education continues. It's never started and it's never ended. Once you are born, you begin to be educated. You learn to speak, you learn to walk, you learn to jump, you learn to do things, even up to the grave. No man is an island of knowledge. So we keep learning new things every day. And education makes you passionate. However, schooling does not. Education prepares you to take risks in life. Schooling only prepares you to know how life goes, but education makes you take risks in life. Education makes you a problem solver and make you think critically. Unlike schooling, we just bombard you with make you cram facts, like the facts makes you cram things which probably you won't even need in your life. And I say education changes man from primitivity. Education changes man from nothing. Education changes man from someone who does not know nothing to someone who knows a lot of things. While schooling helps prepare you for your social life only. Schooling only helps prepare you for your social life. That is when you go to school, you meet your friends, you meet your classmates, you meet everyone around you. And schooling also prepare you for a little bit of life challenges. Schooling can actually prepare for life challenges as education would. Education makes you look at things differently. Education changes your perspective about things. Education changes the way you view things, changes your idea about things, your conception about things. Education makes you work independently with others. Once you're educated, you don't have to be based on other people for you to survive. You don't, although we humans require each other for basic necessities, but not for some vital things of human life. But schooling would make you independent. Education makes you creative. Education is the bedrock of creativity. Once you're educated, you know how to do this. This is the way things to be done. You can do these things without the help of others. You can be creative. Like we have so many examples here in Nigeria of young ones who have gone around the world, shaking the whole world and making people, to know people who I can give back to. But education is what gives me the opportunity to every day by myself. I make an average of 5 researches on Google a day. I didn't say on education only, but now we have so many people out there who are working. Some just went to schooling, while some are educated. You will always see that the educated one better off than those ones who just went to school only. Now, education, as I said earlier, does not only refer to schooling. We have different forms of education. We have education of the mind, of the body, and the soul, as the first speaker rightly said. And we also have formal education, informal education. You see someone out there working for his boss, and being an apprentice in order to be good at a craft. This is a form of education whereby he does not want to be a miscreant in the world. This is what education will do for you. Education will make you not result into miscreancy. But if it's just schooling alone would lead us to miscreancy. I didn't say schooling is not good, because schooling fosters education. Like now, I would like to relate it to the COVID-19 pandemic, where we could not attend school, where we could not attend lectures, live lectures, but we had to leverage on the online classes. Now, had it been there had been schooling, lectures would have been better and be more interesting. But without schooling, education will not really be interesting like that. So education is what's in, and schooling is also prerequisite for a good education. Now, I would also like to talk about how we can recover and revitalize education for our COVID-19 generation. Now, who are the COVID-19 generation? We are the ones who witnessed the COVID-19 generation. And first, if we have to leverage on online lectures and all of that, the teachers must first know about the student's mindset. What does this student think about this? What is the opinion of this student about this online lecture? Will this student participate properly? Will this student be constant in classes? Will this student always be punctual to class, or not minding that we are not going to meet eye to eye, but it's going to be a camera view. Now, another thing to consider is teachers' activity. The teachers should endeavor as much as possible to make online classes more interesting for students. Like in my school, we have online classes where teachers send us videos, which makes lectures even more interesting than live classes, because we get to interact with our teachers the way we want, and also we get to view so many videos. Like I viewed an average of 2 videos a day, and these are educational videos which I get from my teachers in school. And we also have to consider the equality in access to technology. Not everyone in Nigeria, in Lagos State, will have access to technology, because we know we are still like an improving country. We are still coming up. We are not yet where we are supposed to be. So access to technology is also something to consider in this modern era for we, the COVID-19 generation, in order to revitalize our education. So education is depreciating in value before the COVID-19 pandemic, but after this COVID-19 pandemic, I noticed that many people totally lost interest in education. At least my class, we reduced about 50% after the COVID-19 pandemic, and I was like, wow. So people are really losing interest in education. I didn't know what is necessary. Yeah, me lesson or special definitions. Um, this new program 2 times in a week, once a week, or at least in a day. Make students know that what have you done today, as the way you've been online for about 20 to 25% of the day. What have you gained? What progress have you gained? What have you improved upon right here online? And what have you improved upon? What has been made different today? Or what has made you love other than yesterday? Now, this was what helped me during the COVID-19 lockdown. I noticed that initially, like every other student, I thought we were going to resume, and we didn't take learning seriously. But when I got to know that this is going to take so, I began to study things. I began to go through things online. This is something all other students should do. That's why I'm saying it publicly, so everyone can also do what I do. I began to download syllabi, and read the syllabi, and now these things are helping me. I'm few days close to my what I've learned during lockdown is what is helping me now. So the best way to recover and revitalize education for this COVID-19 generation is more education. What do I mean by more education? Educating them in different forms, educating them in different aspects of life, educating them that this period is not what you should do to just sit down, to not just do to enjoy life. It's not what to just do, like many people say, enjoy your life. But this is a period to work out. This is a period to, because you have almost 24 hours of your day to yourself, most during lockdown. Now you can use this period to get educated, get enlightened. You are more go for every student he or she knows. Every student will realize that it's not just always read. You should always do things. You should that will make you a better student, better off than even your classmates. So I think this is all I have to say about education and schooling, the differences between them, what schooling does for you, what education does. And remember, I say education changes mind from primitivity, while schooling only teaches mind to deal with social environment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fermi, for that
Awesome
wonderful
presentation from Fermi. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Please go to the chat box and just give that guy thumbs up. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Over to you, Ajigini Shiloh. It's your session now. You have the floor. If you can hear me. Okay, you need to unmute yourself.
Okay.
Okay, I can hear you. Please, you've got to unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. You can go ahead now.
Okay, so my name is Shiloh Ajigini. I am born and raised in Chicago, Illinois, in the USA. I attend the Latin School of Chicago, and I'm currently in 9th grade. I like gaming, eating, chatting, but most importantly, I like learning. What education means to me. When I hear the word education, I think of multiple things. I think of music, community service, sports, school, technology. Education to me is solving problems. But when I hear the word education come from other people's mouths, it's usually limited to book smarts and how good you're at arithmetic. And although that is a form of education, that isn't all education is. Education is anything, so it's anywhere, just in different forms. My story in education begins from day one of my birth, learning my alphabets and numbers at home, to attending a private school in Wisconsin, to migrating to Chicago and going to public school for all my elementary years. My story in education is looking for scholarships that got me into my current school. And my story of education is one of rigors and miracles. My story of education is great, and that's still ongoing. Now, the benefits of education. The benefits of education are everywhere. The electricity that you use to the home that you live in, they're all practical applications of education to get things done. Personally, the benefits of education for me is that I'm able to speak here. How do we go about revitalizing education? You see, that's a tough question because revitalizing education is a two-part thing. You need kids to open their hearts back up to education because like Fermi said that 50% of his class they lost all inspiration for education. But kids as a whole and adolescents as a whole need to keep their eyes open for education. And it's also on the old people's part to change the way that we educate. You see, the problem is not with education, but it's the way that we educate, because like everybody has their own way that they learn and take stuff in. But when we limit it to one thing, that just takes off the whole entire thing. Like I'm 14, and in my classes we still play games. Like we play games online, and we learn through games online. Like games are not outdated, and like you can learn. There's so many outlets to just like educate other people. Like what he said, schooling is not education. It's where you go to get an education. So like schooling needs to do a better type of way to teach us education as a whole. Education is for everybody, and I'm a firm believer of that, and that we just need to change the way that we go about educating other people. My advice to the younger people is that, yeah, don't give up on education, because in the long run, you're only hurting yourself. Education is for everybody, and that you need education. You need education. You need education. You need education to go further in life, and you need education to stay where you are in life, because like you can't just stay where you are without education. Education is like the foundation of the world. And my advice for older people is that when I was looking at this thing, I was watching a video about this historiographer. His name is Ibn Khaldun. He created a theory about how empires fell and how they grew. And it went like this: that empires, they first established their empire, and then they keep on growing, and that when they keep on growing, they start to get comfortable, and they start only prioritizing comfortability. And like in this modern day and age, that's now in the pandemic, that people are only prioritizing comfortability and not education. Like education has become something that's second nature. Like it's first how you can enjoy yourself during this pandemic, rather than what you can get out of this pandemic. And that's what we need to change. So what we need to do is that we need to stop trying to find comfortability. Now we need to start prioritizing our youth and trying to grow them instead, so that this empire can keep on going on and on. Finally, because I think I'm running out of time, is that we need to make education a first priority, and that it can't be second to anything. That education needs to come first, because education is everything. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that wonderful session on education. It's really very impactful, and I'm sure there will be lots of questions for you at the end of this session. You've given us a very, very impactful and powerful message. I'd like to introduce another special speaker, Mr. Tunde Elesin. He's the founder and lead facilitator of Character Academy. Everyone, please keep your ears open, because I know he's got very powerful things to say as well. He's always leaving us with words of wisdom. And we look forward to what you'll be sharing with us, Mr. Tunde Elesin. Thank you very much. You're on mute, sir. You're on mute, sir.
Okay, I was trying to get myself unmuted. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. What a privilege to be in this great assembly. I want to first of all thank the organizers. I want to thank the Ministry of Education. What a privilege to be the commissioner, the Honourable Commissioner herself, the District 6 Tutor General. I want to thank everybody standing on the protocols that exist. What an informative session we've had. So my name is Tunde Elesin. I work with a team of people, and we set up an academy last year. Interestingly, this is one of the joy of COVID. COVID, we were at home last year, and we set up this academy because we found a gap in the system. We found a gap in the system that needed to be filled, and that was critical for us. And that academy has just grown. Today we are in several countries in the world. We have a class in Ghana, in Ivory Coast, several in Nigeria. All this is all online. We don't meet anybody physically. So today I want to I was thinking about this lecture, this small talk, and I remember what my dad told me. My dad is late now. My dad told me that success in school is not success in life. I want somebody to please type that for me, please. Success in school is not success in life. And I thought about it. How? You know, and that, I remember he said that to me. I'm from a family of 5. I'm the 4th child out of 5 children. And my dad said to us that success in school is not success in life. Education, I love what the other one of the speakers said. Education prepares you, okay, for being able to contribute. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Being able to contribute to the society. Guys, the society is waiting for you. And education is light. Oh, anybody that is involved in educating anyone, in sharing knowledge, I salute you. I celebrate your audacity. Listen, guys, you are sitting in a very paramount space of development. Thank you for your effort. Thank you for your contribution. Last year created a big movement, it disrupts the flow of things in the whole world. COVID, nobody planned for COVID. Nobody planned for COVID. So when my dad told us that success in life is not success in school, success in school is not success in life, what did he mean? What did he mean by that? He meant that you can go and get, if you're in Nigeria, a senior secondary school exam and you score all A's. 2 years after, you can be frustrated. And we've had several people committing suicide. You now wonder what happened. You see a bright undergraduate, super bright, a bright undergraduate. But instead of him spending time to learn, he's spending time to buy exam materials. He comes out, he passes, he has a 2-1, but really he can't defend it. He can't defend his scores. Therefore, he enters the market and he becomes a liability to the society. It becomes a liability to his family. It becomes a liability to the entire country, to the entire globe. So that was what my dad was saying. Now, guys, COVID happened last year, and COVID created a disruption. So I have 3 children. I have 2 lovely daughters and a son. My daughter, my first child is 16, going to 17 this year. My second child is 14, going to 15, and then I have a lovely son. He's 12 years old. He's 13 this year. Interestingly, all of them had to go through the online platform. Listen, guys, the online platform is not evil. I want to tell everybody listening to me, no, it's not evil. Google is not bad. The online platform, there's so much educational materials online. They create the platform for us to generate exchange of ideas, exchange of knowledge, exchange of data. That was the reason why I encouraged every parent I have an opportunity to talk to during the COVID period. I said, teach your child discipline, which is character. Teach your child discipline, but then teach your child curiosity. Let them go and be curious, but let them be disciplined. Let them control how they use the information they have. Okay. Just yesterday, my daughter, she was trying to cook for us at home, and she was trying to make porridge, yam and all that. And she went to Google, and she saw the steps, 6 steps. And guess what, guys? It was a delicious meal. So the online space is not bad. And that was what COVID did. COVID fast-tracked the online space. COVID gave us access into an interaction. Sitting in Lagos, Nigeria, like I live in, talking to the young man that spoke now living in Chicago. Who could ever have thought about that? Talking to people in South Africa, in the UK, and interacting real time for a common good. And that's what education is. Education is light. Education gives you an opportunity to advance ourselves. What a great opportunity, guys. I want to encourage everybody, please, if you have not maximized the space, if you have not maximized the space of the online space, please, I want you to go back to the drawing board. How do I maximize the space? You are in a school in Mushin, Lagos. Listen, there are exchange courses you can do, several of them online, that will sharpen the skill of your students. Guys, I've come to find out that we are now in a global world. I have a mentor I deal with every now and then, and I asked him, I said, sir, is IQ means intelligent quotient. Is that the critical thing people look for nowadays? He said, Tunde, no. People look for EQ. People look for EQ, but EQ is intelligent quotient. But that's not what people will look for. He said people look for CQ. I asked him, what is the meaning of CQ? And he said CQ means cultural intelligence. Wow. Cultural intelligence. Being able to interact with our neighbors in the north. Being able to work effectively with somebody in Russia. Being able to work effectively with somebody in Canada. Listen, if you were talking to somebody in Canada today, the person will be in sweater because that is the place is cold. A Canadian, somebody that is living in the US or living in South Africa, or even if you come back to Nigeria, you'll find out that our cultures differ. But guess what, guys? Together we are stronger. Together. And this platform, I want to say it again. COVID made the online platform affordable, accessible to everybody. COVID. What an opportunity. COVID gave all of us that platform. So I want to encourage every school, if you don't have an online director, go and create an online director. Create an online department where you will do research, where you will take advantage of the space to brush, to sharpen. Listen, we are in a global world. COVID leveled the space. COVID leveled, gave an opportunity for students in Abuja to compete with students in London. It gave an opportunity. COVID gave an opportunity for students in JOS. We have a character academy class in JOS, guys. Those guys, fantastic guys. We have another character academy class in Ivory Coast. I've never been to Ivory Coast, guys. I've never. They even speak French. So COVID leveled it, guys. So really, you are the limiting factor. You are the limiting factor. What an opportunity. So I have decided to see COVID as when you see a cup of water, half full or half empty. I have decided to see it half full. I have decided to see it half full. So what an opportunity that COVID brought to our education space to make us get better. Guys, as I round up, I want to thank the organizers. I want to thank every of the guys that put this together. It's World Education Day. Don't forget what I said. Education is light. Education causes us to see more. Education causes us to understand better. Oh, education, switch up the bulb. There is so much the world is expecting of us. We have so much bright students. Oh God, I work in an organization that one day one of our guys went on leave, and we were supporting people around the world, and everywhere in the world they needed the guy's skill. It was then I found out that guys in Nigeria, in Africa, we have brains. We have brains, guys. Education is the platform that will enhance it. God bless you. Thank you for inviting me. God bless you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that very, very powerful message. I could actually feel the passion flowing through your veins, you know, very, very, very infectious.
Thank you. Thank you.
I appreciate it. I'd like to now also, don't stay around, please, for all the question and answer session, because there's a lot of questions coming your way. But I'd like to invite our wonderful director of Co-Curricular, Science and Technology, a person in Mr. Paul Legbeti. Please, sir, if I mispronounce your last name, please, he will be hosting the question and answer session. He's one of the co-hosts of this event. Thank you so much, sir, for your time, and we hand over the mic to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Aromire. The program has been awesome. The session has been wonderful, and to God be the glory. We can see that Lagos State is moving. On behalf of Education District 6, I'd like to appreciate each and every one of you that have presented wonderful submissions. At this point, or at this juncture, I'd like to crave the indulgence of each and everybody online to start asking their questions. To start asking questions, the panelists are still around. Mr. Mohammed JEGA is still around. Mr. Tunde Elesin is still around. The Adigenis are still around too. Ms. Beckley is still around. Femami, our wonderful whiskey, is also around. The whiskeys from abroad, the Adigenis are also around too. And it's going to be wonderful if we can appreciate one or two questions from those of you participating in this wonderful meeting. Over to you.
Let me ask the first question to Mr. JEGA. I would allow Tayo to ask about Mark Zuckerberg. This is more around how or what do we need to do to encourage more of the youth to get involved in technology. I know you said something about hackathon, but how do we introduce that into the schooling system today? You know, maybe not as a curriculum. I guess you can talk to their Paul if it's about curriculum, but I think it's more about how do we introduce it into the schooling system to allow the students, you know, take a great interest in coding and all those wonderful stuff you spoke about.
Mr. Mohammed JEGA, over to you. Can you hear me, Mr. Mohammed JEGA? Okay, while we are waiting, for Mohammed JEGA to come back online, I'd like to call on Mr. Oluwakemi Shubuyi to ask his question. Mr. Shubuyi, are you around?
Yes, I'm around.
Go ahead and ask your question, please.
Okay.
And I'm sure you
can hear me from the other hand.
Yes, we can hear you.
Question number one.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Question number one, I want to ask Mr. JEGA as well so that he can answer the questions together. That himself as the CEO, what are the areas he will advise the youth of Nigeria to
together harness those areas,
and they will be able to develop their synergy, that is coming together, put efforts together to come up with something that will be.
What I know and what I know
very well is that in Nigeria, many people want to do things individually. So coming together is not something that is common among them. That is my number one question for our Mr. Mohammed JEGA. The second question that I would like to ask Mr. JEGA is on the fact that, the second question that I want to ask Mr. JEGA is that, can he suggest a project for this youth? Let's assist them to start with something. Okay, you youths are in this academy. Can you go ahead and try to do this particular thing so that at the end of the day, we will have somebody to monitor them so that as they are growing with what they are doing, we will be able to assess them technically. And lastly, hearing that Mr. JEGA is also interested in the Pack Up Arewa, that is being focused on what the youths are doing. And we are talking about revitalizing education in Nigeria. So lastly, I've talked to so many youths in Nigeria and some other organizations going to some areas like Makoko and some other places where mere fishermen and women, the children of fishermen and women, were being given the opportunity to use technology to develop apps and so on. I even know of a small boy of 17 years in Nigeria who has done a social media that looks like that of Facebook and Instagram with very weak computer, as mentioned by Mr. JEGA. And he did it and the thing is functioning. He has gotten so many people on board. So how can we encourage such children? Which academy, what address will they go? So that along the line, they come together. Well, if I'm saying which academy now, I still mean the online academy, so that they can come together to pull the country forward. I'm interested in tomorrow for Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kemi Shogui. While we are waiting for Mr. JEGA to come back online and answer your questions, at least there are 3 in number. I would like to call on Mr. Tosin Akiyemi to ask his question. I can see you raising up your hand. Mr. Akiyemi, over to you. Mr. Akiyemi, are you online?
Yes, I'm online. Yes, I'm online.
Go ahead. You have the floor.
Yeah, thank you for this opportunity. I have 2 questions to ask. One is directed to Mrs. Beckley. From the presentation of Mrs. Beckley, we got statistical data of students that are out of school. And of course, the girl child.
Come again, please.
I said from the presentation of Mrs. Beckley, we got a number of statistics, particularly of students that are out of school. Now, my question is this. Given the fact that UNESCO on yearly basis would advocate that every government of every nation should inject 26% into education on yearly basis. And if the statistics of year 2019, 2021 are anything to go by in Nigeria, 2019, federal government injected 7.01% into education. I see that was not bad enough. 2020, it came to 6.7%, and 2021, this present year, 6.3%. Now, given this indices vis-a-vis students that are out of school, what would Mrs. Beckley advocate to make us have most of the students out of school back to school, given the fact that education is the source of everything that we need now? So that is for Mrs. Beckley. I'll take the other one so I don't have to come back. The other one has to do with axiology education. Axiology has to do with ethics, developing the individual. If we have a close look of what has been happening over time in education in this country, and by extension, other countries of the world, I observe that emphasis had always been on academics. Moral values has been left unattended to. And when a child is super educated and would not adhere to some moral standards, then it takes us back to the drawing board. So what steps can we take in ameliorating this aspect, given the level of decadence in the world generally? The first question to Mrs. Beckley, the other question can be taken by any of our resource persons. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tosin. There was a network problem where you are directing that question to Mrs. Beckley. Can you repeat the question to Mrs. Beckley, please? Mr. Akiyemi, can you hear me? Mr. Akiyemi? Engo?
That's the problem. Yes, all right. I can hear you now, sir.
Okay. The first question to Ms. Beckley, can you repeat yourself, please?
All right. The first question to Mrs. Beckley is hinged on our presentations. She gave some statistics of students that are out of school. And I did refer to the fact that what steps can be taken by government, as encouraged by Mrs. Beckley, to have most of the students back to school, given the fact that education is the best that can happen to an individual. I remember I also referred strictly to UNESCO. UNESCO has a charge for every nation of the world to inject 26% of economy budget rather into education on a yearly basis. And I said that I took this personal statistical data between 2019 and 2021 as it relates to Nigeria's commitment to education. And 2019 has 7.1% as against 26. And I think that was not bad enough. 2020, it came down to 6.7. And this present year that we've started, 6.3. So if we look at that, vis-a-vis those that are out of school, what advice would Mrs. Beckley proffer to have most of the students back to school? Because the lifeline of every nation is to have good and educated students. That's to Ms. Beckley. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Beckley, did you have a question? Over to you, please.
Thank you, Mr. Akiyemi. I'm happy to talk about the budgets of the government in the last 2 or 3 years. As people have been advocating, I want to lend my voice to parents and tell the government to beef up the budgets. It shouldn't decrease every year. Then apart from that, parents of most of these children that are out of school should be economically empowered. You went in the classroom and you're still in the business of educating children. You will agree with me that one of the major factors responsible for these children staying out of school is the fact that the parents are poor. They don't have the wherewithal to take care of the children. Even though Lagos State operates or implements free education, at least from primary to secondary school, but the challenge is that the parents still have to provide for the feeding. They need to clothe the children. They need to house them and take care of other family commitments. So it is not that these children are taking on the responsibilities of adults. So the economy should be made more viable. Opportunity should be created for more jobs or self-employment, so that once these parents are financially empowered, they can relieve the children of taking on the burdens or responsibilities of adults. If you go on the street, despite the fact that Lagos State ensures or doing all the food that these children are out of school, the parents still have a way of beating every rule, every strategy put up by the government. So you can't completely blame them. If they are not empowered, the children must have a way of assisting them. In my own days, my parents were poor. I would work after school between 3 and 5. But my parents, as illiterate as they were, would never take me or any of my siblings out of school. They will allow us to go to school. Every money we made together was put into funding our education. And you won't even know the difference between us who are from problems and those from privileged homes. You know, in those days, we have the children of the commissioner, children of the governors, schooling with children of farmers and artisans and all that. So one of the basic things that the government needs to do is to make sure that the parents are empowered so they can allow the children to stay in school so that learning and education and schooling and everything can be meaningful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Beckley. Mr. Kiyemi, I hope Ms. Beckley has done justice to your question. Mr. Kiyemi? Yes.
Have to be unmuted to speak. Indeed, she has done beautiful justice to the question. That tells us that education is not a government policy. Parents must have to come in. Indeed, I must use this medium to specially acknowledge the Lagos State government for its wonderful role in education during COVID and even up till now. And of course, I want to leverage on the fact that Lagos State government must have gone out of the box to source funds to have done all that it had done. And we say kudos to that. But again, Ms. Beckley had been able to do good justice to it. And indeed, she juxtaposed the present to what happened way back while she was younger. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Quickly, I would like to call on Mr. Shubuyi again to come on with the questions, the 3 questions he asked for Mr. Mohammed JEGA. Mr. JEGA just came back online. I think there was a network problem from his end. Mr. Shubuyi, are you online? Mr. Shubuyi. Mr. Shubuyi.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you very well. Please, the questions for Mr. Mohammed JEGA, please.
Hi. Okay. These are my questions.
Just give us 1 or 2.
Mr. Mohammed JEGA,
brief question because of time.
I believe this is from the profile. Okay, I'm going straight to the question.
Yeah, better.
As the CEO, what areas will he advise the youth to harness so that they can put their energy together, channel their energy towards that area for a development of a better tomorrow in Nigeria? That's my first question to him. And this question, the second question to him is this, that I can also see that he's a project manager. Can he give a project to the youth of Nigeria that youth in this area, gather yourself together, try to channel your energy towards doing so and so, and see maybe you can solve one solution or one problem or the other. And this is my third question. I can see that in many parts of Nigeria, in fact, in some less privileged environments like Makoko, we have so many youth coming together, using technology to solve problems. What effort with the academy of Mr. JEGA and others, and some others doing in order to improve the outcome of this type of children? I also made mention that I can even see a 17-year-old boy who has come up with an application that looks like that of Facebook and Instagram, which can be used as social media hub here in Nigeria, using the weak resources that he has. How can the academy pull out all these children, bring them together, and let them form something that will be useful tomorrow, than our children using their energy, channeling it towards making some dubious form in the online business? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kemishogui. Over to you, Mr. Mohammed JEGA.
All right, thank you so much. I missed his first question. First question. I missed his first question.
You can go ahead and answer the second question while he comes back with the first question.
Can he drop the questions in the chat box so that I can read them and reflect? I'm heading for a meeting.
Do you want me to come back with the first question? I'm saying Mr. JEGA is the CEO.
All right, so
what are the...
what are
It's right.
Is from our side, you should our best. No, don't just type them. I'm listening, sir. Listening.
Okay, I'm saying that as the CEO, what are the areas you will advise the youth to harness?
Channel the energy.
To be able to channel their energy towards the right area for personal development as Nigerian youth. Thank you.
Mr. JEGA.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for building their capacity. So what are the issues? What are the issues that are that help young people to help discover themselves? So one part of what I feel is can you hear me?
Yeah, very well.
Okay, good. So part of what I feel is very important for us is for young people is for them to help discover them, is for them to pick up one idea in terms of building their capacity, whether is it around application development, whether it's around digital marketing, whether it's around animation, whether it's around solution provision, whether it's around ideation. So most importantly is for them to look at, because we have areas, different sectors. One, agri-tech. Agriculture is a very, very, very lucrative sector that has been there, that has not been harnessed. Why they need to look at it is to see why they can be able to come up with solutions around that will enhance productivity and processes of agriculture. That is why you bring in technology and agriculture together, making it have agri-tech. So, and also commerce. Commerce is something that's that has to do with identifying a business and how you can be able to produce a business, promote a business, and run a business. Most businesses that you see that people are developing or sharing or marketing are not their products. There's what we call drop shipping. Drop shipping is a very lucrative business. Drop shipping is a very lucrative business that a lot of people do. It's a process that I own this car, I sell these caps, you know I sell this cap, and you go pick up the caps, snap it, put it on your page, and you market it. When customers are interested in buying the caps, get to you, you tell them that you're coming back, that they should pay before delivery. Or then you go back to me, pick up the caps. Maybe I'm selling the caps at 1 naira. You now add another 1 naira on it. You make 2 naira. That's what we call drop shipping. It's a very, very, very lucrative business. And a lot of people have been doing it at the comfort of their desks and without a very critical investment. But it's around, you know, the economy is changing. It's tilting towards knowledge economy. So that's why I always tell young people for them to focus on learning a skill. Learn a skill. Let you have one skill that if you've been asked, aside your certificate, what can you do? You can say, oh, I can do this thing. I can do animation. I can do digital marketing. I can do the application development. So the question is, second question I was asking around project management is because some of those things that we do, solutions that we come up with are around the problems that we face in our day-to-day lives. I gave an example about a product that we, about a project that we've a problem that we've identified, and we've assembled young people to come up with a solution for that product. That's around financial inclusion. So it's not something that we bring out of the blues or something that we come up with that is not in the context. It's something that affects our daily lives. That's what we look at. So when we look at problems or projects that we have to manage, we identify problems that we have to do. Maybe our next use case will be security. We'll now challenge young people to come up with a solution around security that will help our security system or the security outfit, that's the police, the service, the army, to help them enhance their productivity. So that has helped us to understand that most young people have this ideation, but you need to put in them into that thinking of them to come up with that conceptualization of that ideation. A lot of them know what to do, but they don't know how to do it. Someone has to guide them. That is why I mentioned that they should identify innovation hubs in their cities so that they can connect with them. They are also free to connect with Startup Arewa. They can follow us on our Instagram at Startup Arewa, or on our website to join the community. We're not focused on Northern Nigeria. We're focused on all Nigerians. In as much as we have a niche, but we focus on all Nigerians. If a Nigerian that comes around with a problem that wants to be solved, we have to support him. So we need to look at how we need to help those who need help. We need to help those who are interested to help themselves. We can't just help people. We can't help everybody. We can only help people who are serious-minded, who are interested in building their skills. Those who don't have any idea, who don't know what to go about with their life, we can help them to how to conceive an idea. Those who have ideas, we can help them how to build startups. We can even help them identify talents so that they can form a team. It's a power of collaboration. So and also, those who have startups, we can help nurture their ideas to see how we can be able to connect them with the right innovation hubs so that they can help tweak their ideas, polish it to attract funding, even their presentations. He mentioned the issue of some people at Nyanya or so, a team of young people that are doing some things. I would like to know what they're doing. It's interesting to know what they're doing. If we can support them, we wouldn't mind. There's a lot of projects, there's a lot of things that's happening around the space. Thank you so much. Any other question again?
No, thank you very much, Mr. JEGA. Thank you very much. We are almost coming to the end of this program. I'd like to call on Mr. Tunde Elesin kindly ask a question from Mrs. Jennifer Chang, or rather, Ms. Jennifer Chang asking the question from Mr. Tunde Elesin. Over to you.
So I will ask Mrs. Jennifer Chang to ask me a question.
You prefer that?
Yes, yes.
That's a smart one. Mrs. Chang. Mrs. Jennifer Chang, are you still online?
So I wanted to, sir, if it's not, hello, sir. I wanted to talk about, somebody asked the question, what about the moral decadence in our young people? What do we do?
Yes.
Because that's what the organization I work, the organization Character Academy, that's what we do. We found out that there is a gap in the moral strengths, So I told my son is 12 years old. I told him, you fail your exams because of two reasons. He said, Daddy, what do you mean? I said, you fail because you don't know what to do, or sometimes you overknow. Sometimes if you overknow, you will not read the question. You just go into the exam hall, you won't read it, and you will think you are put a minus sign instead of a plus, and you miss the question. You see a lot of brilliant students. They enter the class and they are super rude. You see a lot of brilliant young ladies, and all they think about is how to not speak politely. Okay, I once told a young man, the reason why God gave you your power is to help and to protect. It's not to fight. So my encouragement is, we need to educate, sir. That educate at all levels. Educate. Character is so important. What is character? Character is a commitment to your values. I say values means 1,000 decisions made upfront. What does that mean? You decide today, I will not steal, or I will not cheat. You already decided. So when they bring exam questions to you, you already decided you will not do it. Because you already decided, it's easy for you to be a person of integrity. So what I encourage all schools, set up character clubs. Set it up, sir. That's what I encourage it. I encourage every parent, be a character coach to your child. Parenting is so important. We can't leave it to the teachers. We can't leave it to the people in our lecturers in the universities. We can't leave it. Government can do what they want, but if the family system doesn't take their place, there will still be a gap. So I want to, so that point, you are so spot on. No matter how brilliant you are, if you have a character deficiency, your skill will kill you. Go and write it down. Go and write. I want anybody to please write it down. Your skill or talent will destroy you if you have a character deficiency. Go and write it down. I can prove it over and over and over. Go and ask the golfer. Go and ask several people. If you have a character deficiency, your skill or talent is limited. So I want to thank you for asking that question. It's something we need to pay attention to in this day and age. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. God bless you. Mr. Tunde Elesin, you really nailed it. On his head, you said parenting is very important. That whether we like it or not, you have to have positive character. That if we have character deficiency, that skill will kill the person if the person is deficient in character. Thank you very much. I hope each and every participant is hearing that, and we'll go back home to work on that. Ms. Oluwakemi, okay, are you on? Ms. Okay. Miss, okay, you need to unmute yourself.
While she's trying to unmute herself, I think I can add something very quickly to what Mr. Tunde Elesin said. You know, character is everything, but I also believe that, you know, as part of character, we need to watch our attitude, because attitude, you know, at the end of the day is what determines how we respond to different scenarios or different events in our lives. And I think one of the things that people can use in order to gauge their attitude towards things is what I refer to as HIT, and that means living by honesty, integrity, and transparency. You see, when you are honest, you have integrity, and you are transparent in what you do, you have nothing to hide. You have nothing to be worried about, you know, because it means you tell the truth at all times. And that helps to strengthen your character as a person, you know. And to back all of this up, you also need to be decisive. You know, you make that conscious decision that this is how I want to live my life. You know, I want to have a great attitude. I want to have a character that can stand the test of time anywhere. And I'll choose to be honest, have integrity, you know, and be transparent in my dealings. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aromire. In addition to having positive character, you have said that attitude is very, very important. That you must have the right mental attitude for you to forge ahead. At this junction, I would like to bring the program to a close by calling on Mr. Sayo Olumadewa to come and do the closing remark. Thank you very much.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you, everyone. Everybody, awesome, awesome, awesome. It's been an eventful event from beginning to the end. Thanks to Education District 6, under the leadership of Mrs. Oludara Okelola, the Tutor General Permanent Secretary, for having listening here and for giving us this beautiful opportunity to contribute to the greatness of education in Lagos State. And to all the speakers, you're wonderful. To the Director, Co-Curricular Science and Tech, Mr. Paul Legbeti, thank you for making this happen. Thank you so much. God bless you. To all the speakers, MOHAMMED, JEGA, the CEO, Startup Arewa, Domineum, thank you. To Ferromi Badmos, wonderful whiskey from Lagos, Nigeria. To Yu-Chieh, Shalom, you all doing great. To Mrs. Augustina Beckley, the principal of the senior high school, thank you. You did excellent. Thank you so much. And to the lead facilitator of Character Academy, Mr. Tunde Elesin, thank you for that electrifying session. Awesome. Want to thank the ME's Department of Education District 6, from the HOD, Mr. Olabi, to the leadership, the magnificent team of Education District 6, Mr. Jamil, Mr. Olaide, Mrs. Shoderu, everyone. Want to say thanks to you, Mrs. Oremade. Thank you. You're been a wonderful personality, and to a great man, Mr. Saka. Oh, this is the best team someone all over the world will ever dream to work with in time. The best team somebody can work with. Awesome. And this has been a wonderful event. International Day of Education 2021 is coming to an end. Also, Mrs. Shonibare, thank you for being a backbone to this wonderful event. We're so grateful. Also, we've come to the end of the session, and I want to thank everybody. Mr. Kiemi, Mrs. Obajemu, the directors, Mr. Other principals present, and corps, and youth, you are doing great, and our students in Education District 6, we've shown the world that Education District 6 is capable of becoming and being the asset that the world emulates. And the beauty of what Lagos State government is doing is what you are seeing now. Lagos State government has capacity to choose right personality for a right reason in the right purpose. And these are the things you have seen that we have exhibited in this program, especially our General Permanent Secretary presentation, highlighting what Lagos State is doing present, what Lagos State has done, and what they are doing presently, which is what the UK government is already doing over there. You see, Lagos State is actually the center of excellence. Thank you so much. I'd just like to take a comment from Mr. Tunde Elesin to round the event up. Thank you. Okay, why is not here? Mr. Tunde Elesin, just unmute yourself.
Can't hear anything.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I was muted and I was struggling with the network. So that's another thing that COVID did. All of us have to be online compliant. We have to know how to use this stuff. So I want to say thank you very much on behalf of the speakers. What a bunch of knowledge that was shared today. So educative. What a privilege. Thank you, Mr. JEGA. Thank you, everybody that has spoken. Thank you, sir, for the opportunity. Thank you to all the schools, everybody represented. We are so grateful. It's really an international day for education. We look forward to the next year. God bless you all. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Tunde Elesin. Also, I just want to thank Jennifer Chang, the Director of Monster Education, United States. I want to thank Jennifer Chang. I want to thank Olutayo, Aromire. Thank you. I want to thank Director Legbeti. I want to thank everybody who has made this event wonderful. Sorry, as we're rounding up, we'd like everyone to turn on the video so that we can have a short photograph. Let every one of us turn on our video so that we can have a photograph session. Let all of us turn on our videos to have a photograph session. Thank you, sir. Okay.
Please unmute your videos.